Good evening, and welcome to Crossfire Perspectives, our weekly program dedicated to exploring today's most pressing issues. Tonight, we delve into a significant question impacting higher education. Should colleges drop standardized testing requirements for admissions? This is a debate with profound implications for students, families, and educational institutions alike. We have two distinguished guests with us to discuss this topic. Dr. Evelyn Hayes, a seasoned university admissions counselor, argues for a move away from standardized tests. And Mr. David Miller, a representative from a leading standardized testing board, who will defend their continued use. Each will present their opening statements, followed by a moderated discussion and then concluding remarks. We anticipate a robust and enlightening conversation. Welcome, Dr. Hayes and Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Alex. It's a privilege to be here to discuss such a critical issue. For too long, standardized tests have been positioned as a cornerstone of college admissions, yet they are, in my view, deeply flawed instruments. My central argument is that standardized tests are not equitable measures of a student's potential, and, regrettably, they often perpetuate systemic inequalities that we should be actively working to dismantle. Firstly, these tests frequently mirror a student's socioeconomic background far more accurately than their intrinsic academic ability or future promise. Access to expensive, intensive test preparation courses and private tutoring provides a significant advantage to students from wealthier families, creating an uneven playing field before the test even begins. Secondly, the high-stakes nature of these exams can induce considerable stress and anxiety among students. This pressure means that a single test score may not be a true reflection of a student's typical academic performance or their capabilities over time. Many bright, capable students simply do not perform their best under such intense, timed conditions, which differ vastly from real-world learning environments. Thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, a holistic review process offers a much more comprehensive, nuanced, and ultimately fairer assessment of an applicant. By considering a student's academic record, their essays, extracurricular involvement, letters of recommendation, and individual circumstances, we gain a richer understanding of who they are and what they can bring to a college community. Moving away from an over-reliance on standardized tests will, I firmly believe, lead to more diverse, dynamic, and representative student bodies. It's about recognizing potential in all its forms, not just in a score derived from a few hours of testing.
Thank you, Alex, and Dr. Hayes. I appreciate the opportunity to present a different perspective on this important matter. While I acknowledge that no system is perfect, standardized tests serve as an objective and consistent benchmark, which is crucial for comparing students from a multitude of diverse educational backgrounds. My main argument is that these tests, when used appropriately as one component of a comprehensive review, are a valuable tool in the college admissions process. Firstly, they provide a common metric in a landscape where high school grading standards, curriculum rigor, and grade inflation can vary significantly from one school to another, and even within the same school. A B in an advanced course at a highly competitive high school might represent a different level of mastery than a B in a standard course at another school. Standardized tests help to contextualize those grades by offering a consistent measure of core academic skills. Secondly, standardized tests are meticulously designed and extensively researched to predict a student's likelihood of success in their first year of college and beyond. Numerous studies have demonstrated their predictive validity regarding college GPA persistence and graduation rates. This isn't about arbitrary numbers. It's about identifying students who are prepared for the academic demands of higher education. Thirdly, eliminating standardized tests could inadvertently lead to an over-reliance on more subjective measures, such as essays, interviews, or recommendation letters. While these components are undoubtedly valuable, they can also be susceptible to their own forms of bias or be heavily influenced by the applicant's access to coaching or privileged networks. Standardized tests, for all the criticism they receive, are administered and scored under uniform conditions, aiming for impartiality. In conclusion, standardized tests are not a panacea, nor should they be the sole determinant in admissions. However, they remain a vital instrument for maintaining a degree of objectivity and comparability, ensuring that all students have a fair chance to demonstrate their college readiness.
Thank you both for those compelling opening statements. We have a clear view of your differing perspectives. Mr. Miller, Dr. Hayes strongly argues that these tests often reflect a student's socioeconomic status far more than their actual academic ability, particularly due to access to costly test preparation. How does the testing industry actively address this significant concern for fairness and equity?
That is a very valid concern, Alex, and one that the testing industry takes extremely seriously. We are constantly striving to enhance the fairness and accessibility of these assessments. Several measures are in place. For instance, extensive fee waiver programs exist for students from low-income backgrounds, allowing them to take the tests and often send their scores to colleges at no cost. Furthermore, we've partnered with organizations like Khan Academy to provide free, high-quality, personalized test preparation resources to all students, regardless of their financial situation. These platforms offer thousands of practice questions, instructional videos, and full-length practice tests, helping to democratize access to preparation materials. Ongoing research is also a critical component. We continuously analyze test questions for potential bias, ensuring they are fair and relevant to students from all backgrounds. It's also crucial to remember, as I mentioned earlier, that test scores are intended to be just one piece of information in a holistic review. Admissions offices are encouraged to consider scores within the context of a student's overall application and background, including their high school environment and available resources.
Mr. Miller, while I appreciate the initiatives like fee waivers and free online resources and acknowledge they are steps in the right direction, they unfortunately do not fully level the playing field. The reality is that extensive, personalized private tutoring, which can cost thousands of dollars, often yields more significant score improvements than generic online tools can. This disparity in access to high-impact preparation remains a fundamental issue. Moreover, the very structure and content of standardized tests can carry inherent biases. These biases might not always be obvious, but they can subtly favor students from certain cultural or educational backgrounds, despite rigorous item analysis. The language used, the context of questions, and the emphasis on speed can disadvantage students who are English language learners or those from under-resourced schools that may not align their curriculum as closely with test content. Ultimately, a student's consistent performance over several years in a variety of academic subjects, as reflected in their grades, provides a far more reliable and equitable indicator of their preparedness for college than a single high-pressure examination.
Thank you both for that exchange. Dr. Hayes, you've emphasized the value of long-term achievement and holistic review. Mr. Miller, in his opening, raised the point about varying grading standards across thousands of high schools. If colleges were to universally drop standardized tests, how could they effectively and fairly compare candidates from such diverse academic environments, each with potentially different levels of grading rigor?
That's a pertinent question, Alex, and it's one that institutions embracing test-optional or test-blind policies have successfully navigated for years. The sophistication of holistic review has grown considerably. Admissions offices don't just look at a GPA in isolation. They utilize school profiles, which provide detailed information about a high school's curriculum, its grading system, the socioeconomic context of its student body, and the range of advanced courses offered. Counselor recommendations are also invaluable, as they provide specific context about a student's performance within their particular school environment and can highlight a student who has truly excelled given their circumstances. Furthermore, admissions professionals are trained to assess a student's transcript critically, looking at the rigor of their coursework, their academic trajectory, and their performance in core subjects relative to their peers at the same institution. Many highly selective institutions that have been test optional for years or even decades, have demonstrated that it is entirely possible to build diverse and academically successful classes without relying on standardized test scores as a primary filter. Their success stories underscore that focusing on a student's demonstrated achievements and potential within their own context is not only fairer, but also highly effective.
Dr. Hayes makes compelling points about the depth of holistic review, and I agree that contextual information is vital. However, the practicalities of implementing such a nuanced review for every single applicant, especially at large public universities that receive tens or even hundreds of thousands of applications, are significant. While school profiles and detailed recommendations are indeed helpful, their quality and comprehensiveness can also vary widely. Not all high schools have the resources to provide extensive contextual data for every student. This can inadvertently disadvantage students from under-resourced schools or those whose counselors are overburdened. Standardized tests, in this scenario, offer an efficient and consistent data point that complements the other elements of the application. They provide a quick, objective measure that can help admissions officers manage large applicant pools and identify students who warrant a closer look through holistic review. The question remains, do all universities possess the substantial resources and staffing required to conduct such an in-depth, labor-intensive, holistic review for every applicant without a common, objective benchmark to assist in the initial stages of evaluation? It's a significant operational challenge that cannot be easily dismissed.
In closing, I want to reiterate my firm conviction. Abandoning standardized testing requirements is a crucial step towards fostering greater equity and achieving a more accurate and humane assessment of student potential in college admissions. We've discussed the inherent biases linked to socioeconomic status, the undue stress these tests impose, and their limited ability to capture the true breadth of a student's capabilities. Conversely, a well-executed holistic review, which considers a wide array of achievements and contextual factors, allows us to see students as whole individuals, not just as scores. It acknowledges their growth, their resilience, their unique talents, and their contributions to their communities. I envision a future where college admissions are more accessible, where doors are opened wider for talented students from all backgrounds, and where institutions can build truly diverse communities of learners. This future relies on our courage to move beyond outdated metrics and embrace approaches that genuinely reflect a student's diverse talents, lived experiences, and capacity to succeed and contribute meaningfully to society.
To conclude, I maintain that standardized tests, when utilized as one component within a balanced and comprehensive admissions framework, remain a valuable and objective tool for colleges and universities. We've touched upon their importance in providing comparability across diverse educational landscapes, their research-backed predictive validity for college success, and the potential pitfalls of relying exclusively on subjective measures, which can introduce their own set of biases. It's not about diminishing the importance of grades, essays, or extracurriculars. Rather, it's about complementing these qualitative aspects with a quantitative measure that offers a consistent benchmark. The goal of standardized testing has always been to help identify students who are prepared for the rigors of college-level coursework, regardless of their high school's grading policies or reputation. While we continuously work to improve these assessments and ensure their fairness, their complete abandonment could lead to less predictable outcomes and potentially disadvantage students who might otherwise demonstrate their readiness through an objective measure. Therefore, standardized tests, as part of a thoughtful and holistic approach, contribute significantly to fair, transparent, and effective admissions processes across the nation.
Thank you, Dr. Hayes, and thank you, Mr. Miller, for this exceptionally insightful and thorough discussion. You've both presented compelling arguments, highlighting the core tension between striving for greater equity and holistic assessment on one hand, and maintaining objectivity and comparability on the other. There are clearly many factors for students, educators, and policymakers to consider. We encourage our audience to reflect on the diverse perspectives shared tonight. Thank you for joining Crossfire Perspectives